In this video, we're going to be finding the surface area of this composite solid. Remember, a composite solid is a 3D figure made up of two or more solids. At the bottom here, you'll see that there's a rectangular prism, and at the top there's a triangular prism, and together that makes our composite solid. To find the surface area of the entire outside of this solid, we have to find the area of each individual face and then add those areas together. I'm going to start with the face at the bottom, the base face, and I'm going to choose the same color that the edges are already drawn in because I want to try to draw in the other side that goes with this base and also this back edge that's in, it'll look like it's inside of this figure when I draw it. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the angle that this line is at, and I'm going to think about how long it is, and then I'm going to come over to this corner and I'm going to try to draw a line that is angled about the same, as close as I can. And it's not drawing, so I got to go back to the squiggly mark here. And then I try to make that angle the same as well as I can, and then I need to think about if it's the same length as this line. I think it is. So now I'm going to go from this corner over to this corner, and I'm going to try to draw it at the same angle as this line and about the same length. And it's not going to be perfect, but now I'm able to outline this base portion. And then I'm going to record the formula for the area of a rectangle. Area is equal to length multiplied by width. The length is 21 yards, and the width is 11 yards. And I'm going to use a calculator for this. So 21 multiplied by 11, we get an area of 231 square yards for that base. Now I don't see any other rectangles that are this size, so I'm going to go ahead and create our chart to keep track of all of this information so we can keep it nice and organized. So I'm going to go to the letter T so that I can draw words, and then I'm going to go to the smallest dot here so it'll make tiny words, and I'm going to write number of, and then I'll click just below it and write faces, and then I'll click over to the side and write the word area, and then I'm going to go over to this line segment so it gives me a nice straight line and another nice straight line, and then I can start filling in using this squiggly mark the 231 square yards, and that's for just one face, the rectangle base. Alright, from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this face that is on the right side. And I'll use green for this. And I'm going to just use like a squiggly mark here. And then I'll also use this on this side over here. And I might go back to this black pen to start filling in more of the inside. You see this line over here? I'm going to try to create that same line at that same angle going to the back corner. And then I also need to copy this line back here. I could also focus on this line and making it the same as that line. And then I'm going to make one more line that should look similar to this line to show the triangle in the back. Again, it does not look great, but you kind of get the idea of the inside of the shape. So then when I'm going back to this color, oh, I guess I should connect this last one, which should look the same as these. So I go back to my squiggly line and I finish out that rectangle. So I'm looking at the right face and I'm looking at the left face. They're both rectangles, so I'll write my formula, area equals length times width. And the length is 11 yards. And then the width here is this vertical line. Each of these vertical lines is going to equal 6 yards. Basically, all of these lines are parallel, meaning they never intersect. They're at the same angle. They're going up and down, they're vertical. So these are all 6 yards long. So I fill in 6 for the width. And then 11 times 6 gives me 66 square yards. But that's only for one face. Let's say we're figuring out the right face. So now, to account for both the left and the right face, I need to take 66 and multiply it by 2, and I get 132. That doesn't look like 132, but I'll rewrite it over here more neatly. So 132 square yards. And that's for the left and the right face, those two faces. Alright, I move on to a new color. I'm going to use purple. And I'm going to outline in like the second thickness this front face, and then also the back face. And these are 21 by 6 rectangles. So I'm going to use the same formula for the area of a rectangle, and it's 21 by 6. Use a calculator to multiply that, and we get an area of 126, and that's only for the front face. So I need to multiply that by 2 to account for the front face and the back face, and we get 252 square yards for those two faces. And that was for the back face and the front face, and those were both rectangles. Alright, we move on to this triangular prism at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with looking at the right face. We could call this one of the roof faces, and then also this face over here. Okay, so this one, the one that is larger, you see that it has a length of 16 and a width of 11 yards. So this horizontal line matches up with the 11 yards. So I write area equals length multiplied by width. The length is 16 and the width is 11. Let's use another color. So I'm hoping you're seeing that this length was the same as this length, the 11. And then this length was labeled 16 yards. So it was a 16 by 11 rectangle. 16 by 11. And when you multiply 16 by 11, you get 176. So I fill in 176 square yards in my chart. That's just for one face. And I don't know what I was thinking. I should have used a different color since this is a different size rectangle. So I'm going to use pink for this rectangle and go over this with a different color since it's a different rectangle. I shouldn't have used lime green on that one as well. So you see that the length of this pink rectangle is 13, and the width is going to be this same length as these other lines that are horizontal. They're all 11. All of these are 11. So then we multiply 13 by 11, and we get 143 square yards for that side of the roof. Now, the triangles are, you can see, are congruent. They have the same base. There's the same distance between this base and this height, and this base and this height, or this base edge, I should say, in the height here. So we only need to find the area of one of the triangles. So I'm going to just highlight one of the triangles, and you can barely see it. I've covered it over so much, but that was a 10 yards marking for the height. So the height is 10 yards on the triangle, and the base, this horizontal line, is the same as this horizontal line below it. These two lines are parallel, they're the same length. So this triangle, when we fill in area equals base times height divided by 2, we are going to fill in a base of 21, a height of 10, and then we'll multiply that by 2. So 21 times 10 is 210, and 210 divided by 2 is 105, and that's the area of just one triangle, so we need to multiply that by 2. So for 2 triangles, the area is 210. So 210 square yards for those 2 triangle faces. So then, now that we've figured out every single face on the outside of this solid, I'm sorry, this is a lot of work, I know it. We're going to add up all of these faces to find the total surface area. So I'll use a calculator. 231 plus 132 plus 252 plus 176 plus 143 plus 210 is equal to 1,144 square yards for our total surface area.